Being a Sonic fan, for me, has always felt like an out-of-body, ethereal experience. Because my relationship to Sonic has become so powerful and infinitely personal that it almost reached this meta-level status where it's not really defined by my enjoyment of the games themselves. When I think of my experience as a Sonic fan throughout my life, I almost always end up arriving at a self-evaluation because all of the growth I've done from child to teenager to young adult has been with Sonic by my side. All these years he's been my most favorite thing I've obsessed over and over and never really let go. And whether I like it or not, no matter how cheesy I may find it, that makes Sonic an integral part of my most formative years. I've always tried to describe that feeling to the world somehow, almost like a cry for help, a way of me saying, hey, this isn't a mere hobby. I actually let this blue hedgehog who runs fast define who I am as a person. That's kinda where I was going with my anniversary video last year, and admittedly, I think I came out a bit short. As the years keep coming by and I keep growing and experiencing stuff, the more I try to understand my own relationship with Sonic, I ask myself, why is Sonic so important to me? Most people seem to treat the things they like with a little bit of distance, and if anything, they usually express their love via joy, but I don't. Sonic makes me happy, yes, but it also makes me ponder and reflect, and gets me a little bit philosophical. In a way, it's almost amazing that this thing that was once nothing but childhood bliss actually manages to push my heart and mind in such a way even as I've grown up. But I also sometimes see it as a bit of a personal issue. I've come to accept over the years that there's a lot of work that I need to do in order to become the best version of myself, which is a perfectly human feeling to have, but one we often choose to ignore. This isn't really the place for me to describe this experience to its fullest. Honestly, I already feel bad for those who expected nothing but a quirky Sonic review at this point, but I thought it was appropriate to give this lengthy introduction to explain just how much writing on the wall I had with Sonic Frontiers. On a superficial level, yes, I really wanted Sonic Frontiers to be good, because the last Sonic game was disappointing and I wanted a proper return to form to the series, with better controls and level design and more content. And really, that could have been this video, just me talking about my thoughts on this new game, of which I've got plenty. But as the release date approached, I started to realize that my biggest concern with this game wasn't whether it'd be good or bad, but instead how I would handle it on a personal level. Since I've already established that I've been massively into Sonic for many years, it should be no surprise that I often couldn't handle what others said about Sonic. If you wanted to, you could go to a video I've made in Spanish about Sonic Forces way back when, where I acted super defensive towards criticism of that game. We often like to mock this behavior for being childish, but I was a child, and I was never taught how to process stuff like this. Over the years, I grew to learn to deal with criticism towards things I like a lot, and I think I'm very good at it now, but there's a part of me that wishes it didn't care. Whether the game was good or terrible, whether people thought the game was great or terrible, it shouldn't faze me, because in the end it's just a game, and my life is full of problems as is. But it does faze me. I do care. And I do find regret in caring so much about such trivial things. Like I said, my relationship with Sonic got so metatextual that I end up feeling things about Sonic. And so in a way, Sonic Frontiers is like the final boss of my pre-adult life. A true final test to see how much I've really grown after all these years. And so, I patiently waited for the game to come out. Wait, I did. A title like the one this video has probably made you think that after 5 years of worrying about whether or not the next Sonic game would be good or not, Frontiers ended up being so good that I can now finally rest. But the peace Frontiers gave me was a different type. The game came out and I played it non-stop. even with exams coming. The walkthrough had its ups and downs, there were a lot of things I really liked and a lot that I didn't. The reception seemed mostly positive within the fanbase, and that made me really happy. My personal rating is that of a 7, or 7.5, not really decided on that one. Definitely not among my favorite Sonic games, but you know, good. I'm still playing the game, albeit most of the surprises are over, and I'm enjoying myself, as I do with most Sonic games, even the bad ones. This experience left a really weird feeling in me. It wasn't that of disdain or disappointment, nor contempt or excitement. At the end of the day, the game was good, and that's all there was to it, and I could have left it at that. But then I began to think, as I typically do. I realized there was something about Sonic Frontiers that I needed to get out of my chest, but I couldn't really put my finger on what. I arrived at a lot of conclusions, some of them I was even planning to use in the video, but they didn't really earn their spot. In a way, this video feels a little bit artificial, like I'm trying to force myself into some kind of life lesson that I sort of came up with to make for a cute empowering video. But the truth is, this repressed feeling is there, and I want to bring it to the surface. I just can't. As I kept thinking about my relationship with Sonic, I inadvertently arrived at many crucial points in my life. Not ones related to Sonic in any way, but ones that may have taken place simultaneously. I thought of old friendships, old regrets I have, mistakes I've made, and a lot of it made me sad, but it also made me feel, in a way, human. At this point in life, I've lived through so many things, both good and bad, that I'm now allowed to look back, reflect on those things, and even gain a new understanding of life. Because yes, mistakes were made, but I'm still here, striving to be better at every step of the way, and I can't help but find something beautiful about it. So beautiful, in fact, that it almost feels pathetic to feel even close to the same way about a video game, to even attempt to link my experiences in life to that of a virtual, fictional world. It feels ridiculous. I guess that's why it always felt so difficult to express myself. How can you come to terms with how you feel about something and say it out loud if you're embarrassed to admit the full extent of your relationship? It's impossible. Having a new Sonic game coming out made me face that realization, that I have to accept that I deeply, inhumanly care about this series, and that it is inseparable from me. Because why else would I care if I care? Why else should I care if I ask that question? Why are my feelings on a series even worthy of analysis? Because I care that much, and I don't really know how to feel about it. Originally, I was gonna make this video about me learning to distance myself from the series, to accept that it doesn't define me and that I can still love it in spite of that. But that felt disingenuous. I know Sonic doesn't define who I am. I may have had that problem when I was 10 and I couldn't bring myself to think about anything else, but in this era of me liking 10 other things almost as much, and me dedicating a lot more time and effort into stuff that really matters, like love, friendship and health, I can't say I have any doubt about it. Sonic doesn't define me. I know it now, and I knew it back then. So what is it that I learned with Sonic Frontiers then? I couldn't pinpoint what exactly. I felt like I was running in circles even as I was starting to write this video. It felt like this was going nowhere, and I even thought of scrapping this whole script. And then, just for the joy of entertaining myself, I decided to play the Sonic Frontiers soundtrack, specifically the song One Way Dream. This song is great, it really is. It's heartfelt, it's inspiring, it could put anyone in a good mood and a thirst for new adventures. But what I found most interesting about it was its subtext. According to the director of Sonic Frontiers, Morio Kishimoto, this song is a direct message from Sonic Team to its fans, which I felt was highly unusual. Typically, a game tries to make a message about its own content, rather than the meta meaning around it. So, with this added context, I listened to the song again and I got struck hard.
They said we'd break, they said we'd lose, but here we are,
The song has lyrics about success in spite of failures. It's not all about the shining victory, but also the bumps on the road, and how said bumps didn't stop them from reaching that point. This is Sonic Team saying, we try, we fail, and we try again, and in the end we're still up and striving for more. Does this relate to me? I don't know. Maybe if I think about it too much, it does, but that's besides my point. This team of developers that made a game about a blue hedgehog that runs fast are telling us that, hey, we really do care. We care like nobody has ever cared before. This series makes us sad and happy and makes us feel things, and we want to communicate those things to you. And this is how it finally clicked with me. For all this time, I was trying to justify my relationship with Sonic in one way or another. I never denied liking it, but I always tried to make up for it somehow, telling myself that there is more value in me than what Sonic can offer, and that I should move past this flaw of mine. To care so deeply is to harm myself, and something needs to stop. But all this time, I never really realized that I was already there. I already was my full person, with its own identity besides Sonic. I never needed to prove anything. All I needed to do was to embrace it, embrace that which I love, this time not with shame, not with any emotional shields, but with pride. If a team of developers working on one of the most crunch-based industries in the world can bring themselves to care so much about Sonic, then me, who has grown up with the series by its side, can too, and there is nothing wrong with it. If only because of one single song, Sonic Frontiers made me find peace, because it allowed me to make peace with how I perceive Sonic. But as the song says, we're only at the beginning of this one-way dream. The road ahead is long and mysterious. There will be plenty of things to experience and plenty of ways to grow. My relationship with Sonic will be no different. So for all the good and the bad that may come my way, the only thing I can do is look at the future with hope and say, bring it on.